We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
Now we're going to be here all night.
Ooh, 24. I see what you did.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
I
too.
wrote it down so we didn't forget. So anyhow,
Yeah, skippity dippity.
I'm willing to repeat my my God, starting off great
Okay.
tonight. I'm,
Patrick Kelly.
I'm willing to repeat my knowledge I drop on you every week. So I'm willing to recount how easy it is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dave.
Okay.
Did,
How is it?
did you know how?
You push a button or something, don't
Yeah,
you?
right over here. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a button in the bottom corner that
So,
says subscribe. And all you do is click it. It doesn't cost you a dime. I don't know what it does. It puts our videos in your recommended list when and if you you like. I thought one of the planes flew over your head there.
yeah, I was like, whoa, what's going on? They're strafing me.
So anyhow, usually I don't feel like repeating my knowledge I drop on you, but this week I since it benefits the listeners in general, I thought I'd let them know. You could do it that way. You can just go to the channel itself and subscribe. If you're listening to us rather than watching us on YouTube, feel free to go on YouTube and subscribe anyhow. It doesn't change anything.
Okay.
So,
Click the damn button.
all right, get it over with.
All right. So, in case you're wondering, hi. The background I have chosen today is an honor. Today, on July 10th, 1940, during World War II. Does anybody know the answer?
I do.
Well, yeah, because you're smart. The Battle of Britain began as the German Luftwaffe. That's the guy down here in the bottom left hand corner. Oh, this guy down here.
Yeah, over
The
that side.
German Luftwaffe launched attacks on southern England, but the Royal Air Force was ultimately victorious, and that's a
We
royal.
we were debating before the show, whose bright idea was it to put a bullseye on the side of your plane? I got it. Dave, it's back to to the meeting with the executives, right? I
Right.
got a design for the plane. Yeah, what is it? It's a big bullseye. No one said no.
They'll never hit him. It'll give them some sort of false. I don't know. I wonder what that's about. I think it probably, knowing the Brits, it helped them understand what regiment you were part of. I don't know. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Alexa, why did the British Air Force put targets on their planes?
From aircorner.com. The targets painted on old warplanes are not targets but symbols to identify aircraft from different air forces, as friendly fire was a common problem in the early days of military aviation.
Okay, so put your flag on there, not a bullseye.
Well, she did allude to the not regiment's not the right word, but but then if
It
you're
just
the enemy and you see that's a fight, I don't know. They didn't, they didn't have
you
what they
can't
have
win
today.
this argument, Dave. Bullseye was a dumb move.
Well, maybe the Brits were drinking all the time.
Well,
They're like, oh, don't hit that one. That's one of our guys.
you never aim. I mean, you never hit what you're aiming for.
Maybe
Maybe
the
that was.
Irish were the people that were pilots and they were drunk all the time. Oh, that's nice, Dave. Speaking
Speaking
of
of which,
drinking,
you wanna tell us what's
yeah.
going on tonight?
Ooh, I
Oh,
hear
I
that.
heard that one. It finally came through.
So it's the aluminum part. Ooh, double whammy. Wow, this is a. I told you I don't drink that much anymore, and this is that killer whale, the original six pack. So I've got two left. My goal tonight is just to bomb them, and in the um honor of the Brits.
Really? Yeah.
Listen, oh, and I did read something recently. I thought I knew everything about beer, but the reality is you want to pour the beer right down the middle.
Well, it makes too big a head.
Well, but
Do
what
they
it
air
does
it out or
to
something?
air it out, get the gas
They
out of
aerate
it.
it.
Well, it's not aerating it, but it's let the gas come up out of it in the glass versus in your gut, and that's what I'm always complaining about. It's too gassy.
Oh, you're
So I'm
becoming
like
you're becoming a real expert on Zymergy.
Symergy,
Zymergy.
Zymergy. So Zymergy is like the Zygate, and that's I don't know.
When you reach for that beer, I'm like, oh, this will be an easy word of the week, folks. Zymergy. You want to ask?
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm working this head off here.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Alexa, define Zymergy.
Zymergy is usually defined as the branch of applied chemistry dealing with fermentation, as in winemaking, brewing, the preparation of yeast, etc.
There you go.
So if you don't shower for a long time, is that
Yeah.
Zymergy?
Hey, apparently it is. So there you go, buddy. See, I taught you something this week, didn't I?
Zymer, is that the word of the week?
Yeah. Dropping knowledge early. We're done, man. You've had your beer.
Look at that. That's Sigma Chi 50th anniversary for Ada Pi Sigma Chi. For all of our brothers out there who,
Well, we might. Speaking of which, we might have one of them on next week, right?
Well,
a special guest.
Apparently we have to send him a notice at the post office.
Yes. So
then he gets it because I sent him an email and
no response.
He only gets the mail at the post office. I don't know what he's
got to
doing
put
down
a.
there. I got to get my stamps. What do you call a stamp collector? Is that a numismatic coin guy?
That's one of the ones from Trivial Pursuit.
I think numismatic is a coin guy.
Yeah, it's definitely not stamp. Stamp is you want me to look it up?
Yeah, hold on. We got a girl right here. We got an assistant. Alexa, what do you call someone who collects stamps?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, a person that does stamp collecting is called a philatelist.
A phlebotomist? No, that's not.
Wow.
I bet your wife knows what a phlebotomist is.
Yes, I think most people do, Dave.
Is she one?
No.
That's
that's a study of blood, isn't it?
No, you take blood.
Phlebotomy.
No, that's phlebotomy. That's when you take your brain out.
That's what I was saying. I thought that was.
What do you call it? Oh crap!
Lobotomy.
That's the brain.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
We used to sell these chairs. Hold on, Alexa. What do you call someone who draws blood?
I don't know that one.
Alexa, what do you call a chair you sit in to take blood?
From examtablesdirect.com. A blood draw chair, also commonly called a phlebotomy chair.
Phlebotomy.
Okay. Folks aren't going to believe that's the first beer you just opened.
I had a cigar today. We got a lot to talk about. I didn't drink though at the cigar place.
Can you drink at the cigar place?
It's
BYOB?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't it's a long ways away. So for the record and the truth of the matter is I don't do that.
Right.
Because then you're on the road. So for Dave, no. Others consume quite a bit.
You could sleep on the floor or something. Sleep it off.
Well, he has those roll down. Oh, this is going down way too easy. He's got it's gonna be like, Dave, you've already finished.
Look at that. Yeah.
Speaking of well, let's get to that in a second. All right. Anyway, so one more time. Today, on July 10th of 1940, during World War II, the Battle of Britain began, and the pesky German Luftwaffe launched the attack on southern England. And lo and behold, the Royal Air Force was ultimately victorious. By the way, while at the cigar shop today, you watch stupid stuff, and I guess the World Cup's ramping up again. Are you into that?
It's the Euros and Copa America right now, Dave.
Okay, so I think Britain and the Netherlands were playing today.
All right.
So who won?
I don't know.
Or is it still going on?
It could be. It could be a tie game. 0-0.
Alexa, who won today's soccer match between the Netherlands and Britain?
England.
I don't know that.
England won 2-1.
Okay.
So.
All right. So another tribute to our allies across the pond. And this one is a cream ale, but it's not an IPA.
No, well, unless it says it on there, I don't know how to tell the difference. I assume a cream ale is a cream ale and an IPA is an IPA. I don't think you can blend the two.
Yeah,
let's try that.
No.
Mix
all right.
them.
Anyway, so that's what we have this background for. And that's something I'm going to try and do. If something comes up on the day that we're talking, I'll try to put a a little decorative.
Oh, that's exciting. We'll have to tune into YouTube to
I
get that, Dave.
I
You know how
know
do you know how to subscribe to the YouTube
that's where I'm
channel?
trying to help the channel out. Jeez. You mean I can tune in and see backgrounds behind Dave's head? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Where do I
well,
sign up, Dave?
I'll just keep mine a blur in the background.
Yeah, this beer's not on my
So
diet.
so this is what you do as a teacher in your time off, huh?
I think most teachers are in the bag over the summer. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
Now, unfortunately, most have to work a second job, don't they?
You know what? And I want to be careful saying this, but I went on this trip to Orlando, right? Last couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
And I picked up the
The
county
clap.
van.
Oh, the clap.
I picked up the I picked up the van, and being a good Joe, I took it over to one of those car washes where they,
Yeah.
they go through the tunnel, but then they hand vacuum and they wipe everything down. It's like $50, but
Yeah.
I invest. And
Mr.
so,
Mr. Moneybags over there.
yeah, Daddy Warbucks. So I'm standing there, and this lady comes up to me. She goes, "Are you a teacher?" I go,
Who's asking?
yeah, who's asking?" I said, "Well, actually, I am." And then I'm looking at her, I'm going, "She looks kind of familiar." And she goes, "Oh, that's cool. Didn't you teach at Fleming Island?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm a teacher too."
And you're like,
This is my daughter. And my daughter, she's the one that recognized. I'm like, okay, starting to get weird now. And so I said,
get away from me.
yeah, I said, so what are you doing? And she goes, well, I do this over the summer to pick up some extra cash. And, I'm like, oh, well, you get to be out in the sun. You're working out, you're sweating your tail off.
Good Lord. So her
Yeah.
daughter works with her?
Yeah, I think it was a way for her to help her daughter get a job.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of at the end, I walked away saying, it's a different approach, but it's positive.
We have a chain of those up here called the Auto Bell. And my daughter went to school with the owner's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I mean, that is a money business, man.
Yeah. So
they had their own private plane.
Yeah, the rumor is this particular one is a fella, one guy that owns probably 5 or 6 of them across Northeast, the beaches and so forth. But it's a rage right now in a lot of communities. In fact, municipalities are trying to stop them. But the rumor is the new automated ones. I think you can go in and vacuum yourself, but then you buy this thing and it
then you go through the washer. Yeah, I seen one of those up here
so
too.
Those businesses they got to cost a couple $1 million or $1 million because I mean it's quite an infrastructure to put it in, and they have a new water reclamation system where they're actually taking it's captured. So
right, gray water.
We're all worried about capturing the water. So it captures your dirty water. It has a filtration system somehow in the plant, and it recycles which is kind of weird. But they sell from an investment standpoint at 10 to 12.
I remember my first beer, Dave.
At 10 to 12 times the value. So people
sells 10 to the business does?
The business. So these investors are like, oh yeah, let's get a permit for this thing, buy it, put it in, and then get it up and running. And then once they turn it around, it sells for 10 to 12 times the initial investment.
So why is the state trying to stop them?
Because they're building these things all over town.
All right.
Well, I told my friend who's a commissioner, I said, it'll stop soon once they saturate the market.
Yeah, saturate, yeah.
But all the, it's like pitchforks and axe handles. People were down at the county commission. We don't want another car wash in our backyard. That and self-storage. The U-Haul climate-controlled storage units that they sell.
I was going to tell you, a friend of mine's in that business, and they do the same thing. They open a fund up, and investors pile their money in. They then buy and develop self-storage places, and then they sell them as a like 40 units, 40 properties at once off. Once they start making a profit, they sell them off to the bigger companies. And they've just been doing this over and over and over for 40 years now.
So a couple years ago, what was I doing? I was looking for like a small office or something, just a place to put a desk and do something else. And so I went over to one of these units. I said, look, don't take me seriously, but I'm just throwing something against the wall here. This cute little girl's working behind the counter. And I said, it's air conditioned, right? It's climate control. She goes, yeah. I said, can I get one of these storage units and put a desk in it? And I don't know if I need power just so I can show up every once in a while. I'll put a chair and a desk in there. I have a place to work. I'll use my cell phone. And she goes, I don't know. I don't know if you can do that or not. But then I started asking her about how much is the rent?
Yeah,
What do people do? Well, from an investment standpoint, it's killer because every
yes,
month they know how much money they're getting. And so you
exactly.
can do future value of money on these things
Yep.
all day long and figure out net present value and then sell these things once they're full. And
And
people
that's
never take
exact.
their crap out apparently.
And the management is not that difficult.
One person. She was one
Right.
person running the whole thing, and there was like 1,000 units in there. It was like crazy.
Where I don't know if they still do it, but there was when those were in the 80s and 90s, you actually, I think there were franchises and you lived on property. The
Well,
bottom would be the business and you would build an
apartment.
apartment above it and you would live there and take care of the place.
Well, this is one you've seen these like a cube, and
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
so you take I don't know what they have to build on 2 acres, maybe an acre. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you figure they spend, I don't know, $100,000 for the acre of land, then they put the building up, and
I
then
don't know
they
what
got
acre you're buying, but all right.
1,000. Well, they don't build them right. I don't know.
They
Whatever.
do. They build in business areas and stuff. I'm sure. Trust me, they're making money hand over fist, man. It's because
Where'd that come from?
companies,
Hand
I,
over
I
fist.
I always quiz it because that and the hotel business, I have no idea how they choose locations. Hotels is fascinating to me. You'll be in the middle of nowhere and there'll be a Hampton Inn out of nowhere.
Well, I do remember taking a real estate investment class in college, and you learn about best use of property and what would be best use on that piece of property. I do remember gas stations. There's a scientific model to where you locate your gas station in your
Like which
grocery store.
corner?
Yeah, which corner. And I
Hmm.
mean, it seems like it'd be common sense, the traffic flow and
No,
that sort of thing. But there's some science behind it.
there's the corner in Matthews, a big, not in downtown Matthews, but right outside downtown. For some reason, on one of the corners, no business ever succeeds.
Yeah.
It's
And
weird.
yeah, and you'll see a gas station that it doesn't work, or
Right.
something will be on that corner. It just never really takes off. But on across the other corner, it's like, oh my God, people never stop going there.
Well, what's funny, it's the longest business I've ever seen on the corner is the latest one, and it's a micro distillery.
Huh.
So,
I
you
don't
know,
have an answer.
I guess they don't need door traffic to support it. So
I don't know.
do
All
well.
right. Well, we've covered in real estate investments because we're all moguls. Of
Yeah,
sorts.
I mean, if you're looking to drop a few million somewhere, that's some good places to do it.
Or deuce.
I don't think the return is good.
I'm looking for a place to deposit a deuce. Yeah, that's down the road there, buddy. All right. That's the beer talking. Okay, great show.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
So you got something? Because I got a couple things.
Well,
We were going to talk about let's do the you want to talk about politics? Not well, no, I hate the word politics. You want to talk about the thing that's going on with our president? Do you want to we
Well, I
agreed
mean,
before the show that we would
I'm just curious since you tend to keep your nose a little closer to the political world than I do. What I think I just Eric my name, Woody's opinion, can't even say my own name, is that obviously Biden does seem
diminished.
more impaired than previously allowed to see. So what are the Democrats going to do? Do they replace him
Yeah,
4 months before, 5 months before?
so there's I think in my little mind that nobody takes for whatever.
Yeah, I don't listen to you either.
I know I don't even listen to myself, but there's like four scenarios. Let's just pick it apart real quick. So scenario one, you got a guy he's like a zebra. He's been doing this for 50 years. Okay, his stripes aren't going to change, and so he's mastered the plan on how to, for whatever you agree or disagree, he like any other
I
politician
was going to say
on either side, but he's just been doing it longer, has mastered the gaming of the system. Was that a fair statement? There
yeah.
are
There's
others on the other
plenty.
side too,
There's plenty across
but he
Congress
could
that
teach a master's class. Let's agree to that.
yes.
And so once you get to a certain, and I'm not speaking from authority because I've never been president of the United States, but
Really?
I've seen these people in action. Once you're the guy, when you walk into the room, yesterday you were a bumbling idiot, and then today, because of your office, everyone wants to talk to you. Suddenly you're the smartest guy in the room. Once you've experienced that for 50 years, that is an elixir, a
Yes.
drug that is hard to let loose of. If you're not a grounded, you know what I mean, grounded, sound man or woman, if you don't have the faculties to realize that this is a facade and fake, then this is what makes you operate. So scenario number one is he ain't going to give it up.
Yeah, it's not really. I didn't know the rules. Can they
Okay, according
take it
to
from
the,
him?
and I'm going to speak in generalized terms. I don't know exactly the numbers in front of me, but according to the Democratic National Convention, this is not a constitutional issue. This is the
Hmm.
Democratic Party. They
Right.
set rules every year. It changes from time to time. Same with the Republicans. And the Democrats say that they need let's just say 1,876 delegates, representatives from different states, to swear their allegiance to vote for him for president. Excuse me, it's 1,800 and change. I don't know what it
Something,
is.
whatever. I don't even
It's
know
a
how many
number.
delegates there are. So
Yeah, he's got 3,000 and change. He's got 3,600, I think it is, delegates that say Joe's our guy.
right.
Okay, now he has they could go to convention. You've heard about this before, probably. They're talking about it. The Democratic National
Yeah,
Convention.
when Bernie was throwing a
Yeah,
fit.
that's when they ran him off.
Right.
And so let's say he's going to build a case he's going to stay. Then he's going to go back to meet with those delegates, and that's what he's been doing.
Right.
He's going to meet with those delegates and say, "No, I'm your guy. I'm the only guy that can beat Trump, and I'm as sound as I'm ever going to be. I'm good. You're going to have to stay with me."
Yeah, that's true.
And so, if
Is
he
it?
can convince 1,800 or however many he needs
Yeah.
that he is their guy, then he's their guy. So that's
Oh.
scenario number one. If
Probably the most likely.
well, I just don't know. I could see it happening. I could definitely see him go down with the ship.
Yes.
But that's not a foregone conclusion that he loses. So, that's part of the bet. That's what he's thinking in his mind. I beat this
Right.
guy before. I can beat him
Yeah.
again. So that's scenario number one, that Joe's ego is so big that he can't turn loose of it. And Jill and
Well, everybody. Yeah.
anyone else in the Biden family, it's a pretty sweet deal they got going on. So that's scenario number one, that he stays. And that means Kamala is his VP.
Yeah. Would
And
most likely take office at some point.
well, whatever happens afterwards, that's a whole nother stuff. So scenario number two is that large donors come forth and say, we're not going to write checks anymore. And the large donors, but the Disney heiress, the Netflix CEO, whoever, all these people are starting to show
Whoever
up.
is on the Democratic side that gets big
And,
dollars.
and they're saying, we're not going to send you any more money. Then the delegates get wind of this and they start getting a little squeamish. And the other side of it is the down ticket. And so the down ticket is he's not only running for office, but any Democrat that's running for House of Representatives or the Senate or even local races are going to say, look, Joe, it's cool and all, but you're going to hurt us.
Yeah.
And feasibly, we're going to lose the presidency and the House and the Senate. And that stinky Uncle Trump's going to have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, and we're going to be out of power completely. And so that's scenario number two, that the big donors get to the delegates and get to the powers that be.
And money does speak volumes.
Yeah, volumes. And then they convince him to get out. Then, okay, so he gets out.
That was really where I was going next.
Well, then you got to say, who's our candidate? Kamala. She becomes the candidate for president.
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
No, but the Democrats have come out and said she's worse than Dan Quayle.
Well, the polls have indicated that as well.
Yeah, but within the party, they're talking like, we don't want her. She's polling worse than Dan Quayle,
which is so odd to me because no vice president really ever does well, right?
Well,
because
George Bush Sr., he polled really well after.
Yeah, I have to admit that's true. But in general,
kind of a second fiddle guy.
Yeah, because you're supposed to disappear, right? And the fact you disappear, but she was fairly well respected she came out of the Senate, right?
Yeah, she was a senator out of California.
Right. And up to that point, before becoming vice president, had a pretty good record and a decent, no side respects the other in great terms, but they all have some sort of, she wasn't
there's an argument on how she got to her office.
Oh, whatever. We don't have to get into that stuff today.
No, I'm not gonna. But anyway, so that's scenario number 2. Is that the big donors show up, they get the delegates squeamish, and they get the down ticket guys squeamish. So I guess this is really the only. Oh, there's 3 options. Okay, so now who's going to be the candidate? We'll come back to that in just a second. The third option is that, and Kamala has to lead this. She has to initiate the 25th Amendment, and the 25th Amendment says that the president is no longer fit to command the job. And so I'm looking for my copy of the Constitution.
But that would automatically put her in the.
Well, so what happens I should have had my.
Don't worry about it. We know what it means.
Well, the point is she has to bring it forth if I'm correct, and then it comes to the cabinet. The 12 members of the cabinet have to bring it and vote.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Well, if it's.
I think the donor
That's
thing
probably burn the basement, burn the house scenario.
Yeah.
But if that's the 25th Amendment, then they discharge him as president. She becomes president. Then you're either going to have Speaker of the House as vice president,
right,
or they're going to have to time it in a way they can get to an election with it. Okay, so there's 3 options. The second one has got the interesting piece. Let's say that they talk him into stepping down.
Yeah, I think that's, to me, if he is, that's the most likely of those 2.
Well, I think that's kind of what is happening, and he's in political circles. He's never going to show his cards because he's deal making.
Well, you can't. Yes, you can't show your cards. So of course he's going to deny stepping down at this. I always love people. He says he's staying. Yeah, of course he is. That's what he's told to say.
Because he's making deals. He's saying, "Look, I need my son to get a pardon. We need to make sure that's done. I got to make sure that you can't come after me. Whatever these things are going on. Jill needs to make sure I have a retirement home to go to. Whatever." Yeah. And so, who's going to be the replacement? That's the 64.
That's really what I'm after, because I didn't think it was good. I have no idea. I mean, there's Gavin Newsom, which he's always kind of up there in the ranks for. I have no idea. Maybe he's a good-looking guy. I think that's. Do
you know of his record in California? Just for a question, curiosity.
His record in terms of wins, or what he's promoted?
No, just how he's governed California.
Yes, I actually do. So,
okay. Well, you have family out there, so
yeah, and it's a Democratic state, and he's really done nothing. Essentially, he's turned a blind eye to all the problems out there, but he knows how to be a politician, for sure.
All right. So, for the sake of our show, I'm not going to get into a debate with you, but the reality is, I think it's going to be, if that option happens, I think it's going to be Gavin. They're going to go to the convention. They're going to have the delegates figured out, and they're going to have to name someone, and they're going to take it to the convention, meaning if that's in August, they're going to push it all the way to the limit so that nobody can do the groundwork they need to do to find out about Gavin.
Or to get more delegates than someone else.
Well, I think they'll have the delegates. I think the delegates will say, Joe, it's not happening. We're going to oust you.
But the delegates have to choose somebody.
Well, then they actually put up a slew of people.
Right.
They actually go through debates, and there's like a mini primary that happens in the party. Otherwise, it'd be like a dictatorship. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're out. This guy's got it. No, there's a quick primary that happens.
Yes.
And
Well, that's what I mean by waiting, by Joe denying he's going to step down and all that. That gives the inner circle time to promote who they want. So, I would think, and I don't know because it's been 8 years now. Yeah, it's been 8 years now since Bernie made his run,
And they ousted him.
Well, they didn't oust him. He's back around. They just didn't want to listen to him because it messed with their game plan.
He had the popularity for president, and the delegates said no.
Right. So
all right.
Anyhow, I don't want to get too serious.
No,
but I was just curious what the rumor mill was. So you think it's Gavin Newsom?
Well, I think either Joe stays because he's an egotistical, maniacal.
I don't think it's up to him at this point, but
as long as he keeps the delegates.
I guess.
And apparently some of the guys, I in my gut, I think they're negotiating. They're saying, okay, I'm going to get out, but this is what I need to make sure that I'm done. Because Joe hadn't done anything. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
Even though he's diminished, he's not stupid.
And neither are the people around him.
Yeah. So Gavin, my prediction, I'm willing to say it, is Gavin Newsom for president and Kamala for vice president.
Yeah, I think they'd have to keep her on the ticket, right?
Well, she represents a certain demographic that they don't want to lose.
Yeah, I don't know how much that really counts anymore, but I'm sure it counts enough.
All right, I'm not going to get into who the sidewinder candidates could possibly be because that'll make all of us.
I think it's going to be who's that cat from Utah that just retired? Mitt Romney.
No. Who says his favorite meat is hot dogs? Did you see that ad campaign he did?
Everybody says something stupid in their life.
Yeah, it's like July 4th. He's walking down the hall.
I know. He's got this
wiener in his hand. He goes, "This is my favorite meat."
We all say stupid stuff.
I don't think I've ever walked around talking about.
We used to call them tube steaks and everything else. So who knows?
Well, there's nothing wrong with a good tube steak. I mean, come on. All right. So that's enough of that. What else you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just curious about, I have these thoughts sometimes, and I'm just curious your take on this. You know the saying, as the crow flies?
Yeah.
And its meaning is it goes between two places, right?
It doesn't take a highway or a road. Yeah.
Right. And it's also usually it indicates a straight line.
Yeah. Shortest distance.
So why a crow? Why not as the robin flies or as the bird flies? Is a crow the only bird who doesn't get lost or something on the way?
I think a crow has an overwhelming acute sense of direction.
That's my point. Is the crow the only one with enough attention span? Like, I'm going to get there. I'm not going.
It's got radar on board.
I'm not looking left. I'm not looking right. I'm going straight to the point.
Hold on. Alexa, what is the origin of as the crow flies?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the term as the crow flies came from British coastal vessels that customarily carried a cage of crows. Crows detest large expanses of water and head, as straight as a crow flies, towards the nearest land if released at sea.
Well, there's something to that.
I like my answer better. That this is the bird with a great attention span. He's not going to wander. He's not
easily distracted.
Yeah, he's not going to see a lady crow off to the right and go, "Well,"
or dove.
Yeah, or dove.
He could be like a golden retriever. I'm like, what's that?
Exactly. Oh, squirrel.
And then you're like, how long is it going to take us to get there?
Right.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want a golden retriever doing this.
Yeah. It's not as the golden retriever runs. No,
that would be circuitous route.
I just thought that was interesting. It was a crow. And I'm like, why a crow?
Well, that's interesting that it holds up that there were seamen at sea.
Yeah. You said seamen.
I know. We talked about, okay, stop.
I'll say that every single time you say that word.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's a fun fact.
Yeah,
there's something to it.
You got that? You want to share your other story?
Well, I did have a question I wanted to bring up on the heels of my travels to a hotel, And it sounded creepy when I first initiated it in my head. I'm like, oh, this sounds weird. But
That's never stopped you.
yeah, I know. So when you go to a hotel and you're in the lavatory and you get all these towels, an arrangement of bath towels, floor mats, hand towels, and washcloths, right?
Yes. All I
And
was
I
waiting
don't
to see
know,
if you could name them all. And
tissue,
toilet
paper,
paper.
and facial tissue, and shower caps and cotton swabs. Okay, so all that stuff. Did you see recently they're passing? I think it's in California. I want to say it's California no, I don't know where it is, but they're passing some legislation that hotels can no longer use the small plastic bottles. They cannot give away
Oh, like the
shampoos.
shampoo and conditioner.
And it's because of plastic. So they're worried about decreasing plastic. Now it's interesting because the hotel I stayed in, the Hyatt Regency Orlando, had these 3 plastic pump bottles affixed to the wall in a bracket, a pretty handy bracket.
Yeah,
And so
I put one of those in my shower.
yeah, so you pump squirt your stuff into your hand. The sad thing is I can't see without my glasses. So they're not in the order that I would have put them in. So every time I took
Wait
a
a
shower,
second. Let me think about this. What order do you think they should be in?
well, I
And
wouldn't have put
I got mine in my head.
okay. Well, I would not have put the conditioner in the middle. I would have put the conditioner to either the left or the right. So I would have put the body soap first, then shampoo, then conditioner. But they had body shampoo, they had body soap to the right, shampoo to the left, and conditioner right down the middle.
See, I would have done shampoo starting left to right. I would have gone shampoo, conditioner, soap.
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, that makes
Okay.
sense.
No, I don't know. So,
What's the first thing you do in the shower, Dave? Do you soap up or do you shampoo?
that doesn't matter. Don't get into that. You're taking part of my stick, my bit over
Oh,
here.
sorry.
So, but the point is, I couldn't see it, and then I can't remember it, and so I would I'm standing there. You can imagine
Right.
the picture.
No, I don't want to.
And I have to
imagine
get
the
my
picture.
glasses on to go look at it. Then I'm like, I almost wrote it down on my hand. I almost wrote it down the order because I was so
That
stupid.
paranoid.
But then I took my
Couldn't
glasses
smell
off.
it or something like.
No, I don't know. So finally, I figured it out. I put a system together or something like that, whatever. So the point of this question is washcloth or scrunchie? Loofah.
Loofah. I'm like,
or
what's
loofah?
this loofah? If I'm going to use one of those, prefer the loofah.
Huh.
It just feels like you're clean. I wouldn't want a loofah at a hotel though.
Yeah.
That would be
dead skin.
that would be gross.
I would assume that's probably why you don't get them is because of the health issue, because you can't sterilize. You'd have to throw them away every time. But you can sterilize a washcloth with their high intensity, temperatures they do.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they do.
Um,
So did you screw it up and did you put
no. So I this is where it got kind of weird.
did you put body lotion on
No,
your
so
head?
historically at home, I use a loofah. I use one of those plastic things that you get when you're down at the Villages in Ocala, So I use one of those and it hangs in my shower and that's how I do it. So I've quit using washcloths 100 years ago, but because of the hotel, I said, well, I'm not going to use my bare hands. That never seems to get it done. So I've
used bare hands for my entire life.
Well, I did. Okay, now we're getting kind of weird. Do you do that today, bare hands?
Yeah.
Okay, now, so I said, all right.
And a finger for those hard to reach places.
The crevices. so we can help. Hey, we're helping somebody.
There you go.
So I said, I'm going washcloth. It's been a long time, old friend.
You were excited about this, huh?
Well, I don't know. Excited was the word. I mean, I was just trying to keep the mix together, the left to the right stuff. So that was taking most of my mental bandwidth. But anyway, so I went washcloth and I said to myself, I'm getting quite an exfoliation going on here. This is good. So I enjoyed my experience with the washcloth. I don't know that that's something
enough that you've
well, I haven't incorporated it at home because I don't think we have washcloths here at the house. I think we've got
use a hand towel if you want, Dave.
That's too much terry. It's too much terry in the shower. Anyway, so that was something I wanted to broach to talk about last week, but it was weird on the heels of what we were talking about. So you're saying loofah,
Yeah. If I'm going to use
if
something other than
available,
the hand. Yeah.
especially for those hard to reach places.
That's right. Well, there were, so do you use the loofah on the whole body, Dave?
Not on my face.
Oh, that's where you draw the line.
I have sensitive skin on my face. Well, because the loofah's been in places I don't like to talk about.
Well,
And I don't want to drag it across my face.
that was a Kevin James joke on the what was that show, the Queens, King of Queens?
Yeah.
And he was all excited. He was running upstairs. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to use a loofah tonight." And then he stops and he goes, "But not everywhere."
Yeah, I'm not going to run out and buy washcloths, but I thought it was an enjoyable experience.
Wow. That's
to
you
watch
take
cloths.
pleasure in small things, Dave. That's fascinating. So
Okay, so that's that. I did have kind of an interesting day today that I'm willing to talk about as well. So
let's get to that. Let's
okay.
do that.
All
That'll
right.
be
So, I'm on summer break. I'm a teacher and I'm on summer break. And I've really embraced the whole teaching. I get the summer off. My wife doesn't really appreciate it much.
No.
She leaves in the morning and I can hear her cursing at the front door like, that son of a gun is staying home today again. So I've been very busy actually Monday and Tuesday, and I got some stuff done I needed to get done in using the computer and doing whatever. And so today I woke up this morning and I'm on the computer and I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and look at the market. The market's not doing anything. I got it all set up in case it does something. I'm not, it's a waste of time. And so there's a cigar place I go to called Tobacco Cove, where in Florida, mind you, it's hot as Hades. And so to go outside and smoke a cigar when it's 96 degrees, why don't you just light your head on fire?
Oof. Yeah.
And so Tobacco Cove, a very good friend of mine, Tom Trigg, is the owner and proprietor. And he mentioned, if you mention Tobacco Cove, that you heard it on this episode, and you are someone who enjoys a cigar, there's a 10% off discount for you. So we'll let that ride for whatever it's worth.
Well, I think congratulations. I think he's our first official sponsor of the show. In a way.
I mean, in mention, I guess. But
I mean, you'll mention the show next time you go, right?
Yeah, well, probably not.
All right.
But he listens to us on Bay Meadows. I don't have the address, but you can Google it, I'm sure. Tobacco Cove on Bay Meadows in Jacksonville. Anyway, so I go over there this morning, and I know I got to get back in time because I'm cooking. My job tonight was to cook dinner. And so the worst thing you can do is when you're like last night, I said to Sheila, so what is my responsibility for tomorrow? What's your expectation? She goes, well, how about cooking the ground beef and the onions and the mushrooms? I'm like, okay.
Wow. What are you guys having?
Well, we're on this silly plan, but anyway, so
sounds good to me.
So that was it. But I had to get back in time to cook it. Otherwise I'd have been hell to pay. So I go have a cigar. I enjoyed it very much seeing Tom, and his son works with him, Nick, and a couple of the old guard were there. And I ran into a fellow who was my worship leader, who was the choir director at a church I attended, my wife and I and kids, 22 years ago, 22 years ago in that part of town. And I haven't seen him since. And so he was getting a cigar. He's a big guy like me. He's 70 something now, and he's getting ready to retire. I didn't recognize him until he started talking. And so he looked over at me. Tom said something to him, and I looked at Tom, said, what's that guy's name? He goes, I don't know. And so he looked at me, but he didn't put it together. And then I looked back at him. I said, excuse me, is your name Sonny? He goes, yeah. Who are you? And I'm like, I'm Dave Theus. And so it was just an old home week. Sonny and I got a chance to enjoy a cigar together. He called his wife on the FaceTime and said, look who I'm sitting next to, honey. And so we got a chance to catch up with each other over a cigar. And I said, you made my summer, Sonny. This is one of those things that I hadn't seen you in 20. There's some great funny stories that we shared a long time ago, but he's getting
I was going to say, how long's it been again?
I want to say 21, because Sarah was an infant.
Okay.
She's 22 now. So I want to say 21 years.
So no wonder you didn't like immediately recognize each other.
Well, so when he walked in, he's lost his hair, and he's in a pair of shorts and it's kind of a t-shirt. He's a big guy, about my size. And there was just something about him that struck me. Of course, he was a big fella. And then when he started talking, he's got a southern drawl. And I
Get out.
just,
A guy named Sonny has a
yeah,
southern draw. Well, I
who
guess
would
now
imagine?
Italian would be more.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Uh, but anyway, as soon
Sonny
as he's,
Corleone.
well, even then, at the moment, I kind of said this might be him. I wasn't sure. Um, but I asked him, and he said yes. Do I owe you money or no? He didn't say that. But
Yes.
I don't know. It was sweet. It made my
Yeah.
whole day. It was. I'm glad I went over there, not only to see Tom and the guys,
You tell him
but
to listen to the show?
I don't know if
No.
I mentioned. I told the guys at the shop, and I sent a link to Tom, and his son's listening. He
Good.
asked me about the dimples on our balls. I said, "Oh, that's golf balls." He goes, "You sure?" I thought it was testicles. I'm like, "No."
What are you talking about?
One of our shows had a title, something about dimples.
Oh, you know, my memory is not that good.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry.
pretty
Who are you?
apparent. Exactly.
That's why I had such empathy for Joe Biden, because I can't throw that stone. Anyway, so it was just a cool thing, you know. It made my whole day.
Very good.
So that was my cigar episode for today. So I covered washcloths, um, cigar, 10% discount.
Well,
Yeah.
so it's Firefly moving night here in the Woody household, and we're roughly inside 10. Let's say,
Yeah.
around 10 left in the show. So we'll get to it. But I was just curious, so how your July 4th went. Did you see any fireworks?
Yeah, we so I was having a cigar.
Oh,
I was on the driveway. It was twofold. It was actually it wasn't cool, but
oh,
it
it
wasn't
was not
blistering.
cool here.
Well, it
Good
was hot.
Lord.
And when I say cool, like in the 80s, upper like 88 degrees.
We were a high 90s, man.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, so what I've learned in the past is to be prepared in case people light your house on fire. And so
So did you wet day get up on the roof and spray the hose down?
no,
The
but
roof?
I did have the hose ready because we have some
Jesus.
crazy neighbors. But so I'm out there having a cigar, and then the neighbors directly across from us, the people behind them, apparently they had invested thousands of dollars into mortars and all kinds of stuff.
What kind of neighbors to
And
have?
it was unbelievable. So I yell out to Sheila, "Come on, you got to sit out here and watch this thing with me. It's like going to Disney." They were so big. They were those big mortars. You can hear them, and then you can see the
Yeah.
little thing, and then it lights up and blows up about 10 more times. So they were going off, and I thought there was like, music in the background going on. But the real fun story, and there's always one, right? Either the guy sets his house on fire or
Or
something.
his own car. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have some neighbors just a couple doors down, and they're not real responsible type people from what I've gathered. And so they were lighting off these mortars, and it was so close, it made me jump in my chair. I thought I had PTSD or something. But it went off, and I could hear it screaming like it's inbound, And so
Right.
I don't know I don't know where they are, and I don't know where it's going to land, right? And
I'm
so,
picturing you jumping on the ground.
well, I didn't take cover yet, but I'm trying to follow the sound in my mind's eye and look up in the sky to see where this thing's going. Well, the breeze is going left to right, so it cascades right over me and blast. And so
Oh,
I'm getting pieces of shrapnel at this point falling right at my feet. So I think it happened the second time I gave out one of those, "Hey, you stupid, make sure you're blowing it down the other side."
I can't imagine Dave yelling at some
Yeah,
younger people.
I did a McDonald's drive-through and said, "Get it right."
Get it right.
So the next one, they're on a little bit of an incline, their driveway, and they launch it down the opposite way, and it went off, and it went under a neighbor's car.
So
And
not even their own car.
no, it went up the ways a bit, and someone had parked off onto their front of their property, and it went under their car and blew up. It didn't blow
Had
the
to do
car up.
damage.
Well, I don't know. It didn't blow the car up. It didn't ignite the car, but it blew up, and you could see all the undercarriage of the car and the whole thing. And all of a sudden, it was like rats and roaches scurrying off the front yard.
Yeah.
So it went quiet after that. They stopped.
And it didn't start back up again.
On their end, no, they were done. They were done.
Okay.
They were like, grab the stuff. Let's get inside before they, figure
Before
it
the
out.
police show up. I went downtown and went on top of a parking garage and watched some friends of ours knew about a good spot down there. So they closed the top level of a couple of the parking garages. So we went down there and watched the fireworks from we have a baseball stadium in downtown Charlotte for the AAA Knights.
Yeah.
And after the game, every year they shoot off a very large fireworks display. So that was kind of fun. But I always remember our hotelier friend when he lived. What's that? Oh, he knows it. I know, but it sounds fancier. Anyhow, him and his two brothers resided in. If I call it a trailer park, it's not right. I remember it. Yeah, I called it a campground just to piss him off. He's camper. I called it his camper. His older brothers would get pissed off. Shut up! It's not a camper. Anyhow, it was a double wide essentially, and we had a bunch of fireworks one year. So we're like, oh, okay, we'll go out in the street and shoot them. They were the kind that a little bit bigger than a Roman candle, right? You'd shoot up and then it would explode in the sky. Yeah. And the funniest thing was, it was that, as you know, there is shrapnel that comes out because that's what makes it's burning metal is what makes the colors in the sky. And like 20 seconds after it would go off, you'd hear a shower of it hitting all the different double wides around the area.
The metal roofs.
Yeah. Everybody's coming. By the time we lit like the fifth one, everybody within 100 feet of his place is outside complaining that we're showering their places with.
So what's your take on that? Because Sheila's been doing this thing where she's committing to walking, and so what was whatever July 4th was, she had the day off the next
Thursday.
day. Yeah. So she got up early because it's cooler in the morning.
Yes.
And she goes, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm like, well, take your cell phone, pass out. I'll see you later. So she goes for a walk and she made a assessment, if you will, of the neighbors and what does she call it? The collateral damage or the pollution. And so some of the neighbors were conscientious. You could tell they were out there that night or sweeping up.
Oh, so next morning.
Yeah, the next morning. They've got it all piled up and collected. Yeah. You can see where the launch pad was and they've tidied up. But then some of them, there's just strewn
paper and everything else.
Papers everywhere. And those sticks that have come from the bottle rockets and all that stuff. And it's just everywhere. So what is your take on your obligation? Are you obligated to clean up after that, or is it just?
I always get a little paranoid that something will have an ember in it or something. So usually what I do is if my family has shot them off and everything, I usually pile everything up and then soak it down with a hose. So, and then next morning I'll go out and put it in a garbage bag.
I thought you were going to say you were like a fire brigade and you had a sand bucket and you'd walk around the neighborhood going with a little shovel and put sand on it.
I don't care about other people's homes. I just care about me starting a fire.
You got
to give them time to clean up the next one.
I understand,
you can't see it all at night.
We had a couple kids, not this neighborhood, but a different one time, and I was smoking a cigar out front, and it wasn't July 4th. They just, dad had some bottle rockets or something. Well, they launch them, and these things. Remember the bottle rockets with the stick attached to it, the wood stick that comes down.
Don't all bottle rockets have a wood stick?
I guess so. I don't know. Right. Versus a grenade, versus a mortar.
All right.
Anyway, so these things are launching and landing on our cars. And so, and
the sticks are. Yeah.
The sticks are coming down on the cars in the driveway. And the kids are like, ha, 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 ha. They can see them. And dad and the kids don't say a word to come over and pick them up. And so,
I know.
Dave. So I had to have a teachable moment. I'm like, you going to come over and pick this stuff up? Well, I don't know. It just speaks to the societal challenge.
Dave, you're always such a joy. I'm glad we weren't neighbors, Dave, at some point.
Well, I say it's personal responsibility. If I'm going to
I-
launch these things off, I would be over there, Johnny.
Yes, I would be
sweeping 'em up.
too. So, in fact, I would try not to. But well, we better wrap this up because like I said, I got to get to Firefly moving night here. in
Okay,
Woody
you
House.
got to touch on it just slightly because I'm intrigued. So
What's that?
Firefly obviously is I know what that is, but
Yeah.
do they rest and reside near you, and you have to transfer? Are you like transporting them somewhere else, or
Do you not have fireflies?
we're in a situation? I don't know what dictates them. The heat, I don't think plays with
Right.
them.
Did you ever grow up with fireflies?
Yeah,
Okay, well then you
used
have
to
to
put
be
them in a
aware.
jar.
Well, that's one way of doing, but I'm a little bit more humane than that.
When you say move them, are you getting them out of your neighborhood and moving them on to somewhere else, or do you
No, that's what I say.
to
Then
get them to take flight?
I thought you'd be more aware that they start to commingle, right? Fireflies. I mean, they don't have a long lifespan, so the reproductive thing. So what happens is they start to mingle near one of your windows, or on one side of your house,
No.
and then they synchronize, and it's like a power beacon outside your window.
Like that Seinfeld episode with
Yes,
the
with
chickens.
the Kenny Roaster sign outside the window.
What is that red light?
It drove them all crazy.
No problem.
And
So you shoo them away.
So what we do is we catch them and then we move them back around the yard because it takes several weeks for them to congregate into that magnitude where it is blinking in your bedroom at night.
You think it's right on? If you notice, you just cleaned your weep holes. Do you think there's some tie to your weep hole? Now they're like, hey, there's the guy that's got the clean weep holes. Let's go over there.
I don't know, but there's obviously there's the opportunity for them to clog the weep hole, But yeah, it's a good point. Maybe I should have done the moving before the weep hole. Let me make a note of that
I think you should.
for next year.
Honey, I got a whole new plan.
Yeah, we gotta
We're doing the
reverse
weep
this
holes in
thing.
spring.
Right. Then
That's radical, Woody.
I know. Well, good. I wrote that down. I'm writing that down.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, you
All right,
see
well.
if you can find us a guest for next week, and make sure your cult meeting doesn't interfere.
Yeah, I got to work on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy Battle of Britain. What do you say to that? I'm glad they won.
I'm not happy Battle of Britain, but yeah.
Victorious.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, I'm Dave.
I'm Woody.
And you've listened to, I don't know if we're getting any better at this, but you've listened to another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody. And follow along what's going on, whatever. Just, subscribe. Okay, you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.
I can't even name them all.
There's a bunch. Google,
Yeah.
I think Google Podcasts went away. I think they got rid of it.
Yeah, but it did.
Well, I don't. We don't know if we're on Apple Tunes or not, but who cares? But go to Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio, and then if you're really bold and you want to see the graphics display that we incorporate in each episode, check out on YouTube. I couldn't remember the name of it. I was thinking we were on Rumble, but we're not on Rumble. On YouTube, and tune in and share with a friend, like and follow and subscribe, because it costs you nothing to be a part of the show. And look at the creativity that you get from this.
I know. Look at that background.
Yeah, this is
All right, say goodbye, would you? You've been
Oh,
going
yeah.
on for 20 minutes.
I know. I have separation anxiety. All right. Good night, folks. See you next time.